welcome everyone. To what is the January Play Lab webinar. If you're around in the first session that we ran late last year, you would know this is the first of a 12-month series of information on play that we're sharing. Very excited to be doing the first one. If you don't know myself personally, my name is Shane from Corporate Challenge. So my role is around client experience and heading up that, making sure that all our programs and our experiences for our clients are of the highest standard, making sure that we're delivering on our promises and ensuring that everything we promise we deliver, and the clients are happy and healthy and really enjoying the products that we deliver. My journey started with play when I was playing sports growing up, and it wasn't until I guess my adulthood, when I stopped playing sports, I realized the importance that play actually had within my own life. So now I'm grateful for the opportunity to spend my time every single day working with people-focused organizations that are passionate about their culture, wanting to introduce play and the benefits of that. So, today it's, as I said, doing this for a living, understanding the science behind play and the impact it can have on your personal life and your organization is something I'm very passionate about. With me, I've also got Dwayne on the call. So Dwayne, GM of Corporate Challenge, put your hand up. Jane's been doing this his whole life, 30 plus years. So I'm certainly going to be asking some questions and some input from you, if that's okay, Dwayne, throughout the presentation, because I think there's a lot of value there that you can offer. So again, with our purpose, like any organization, we look at why we do certain aspects, and within the Play Lab, what we've realized is we study the science quite closely around understanding the neuroscience and the psychology and the biology behind play and how it translates into insights, and that can be quite complex on occasions. So the purpose of the Play Lab is actually to try and distill that information into digestible bite-sized chunks, so we can give leaders and teams all around the country in New Zealand tools to be able to integrate play into their own teams. So our goal is to make play a habit within organisations, not just an idea that's spoken about. And by distilling the information into bite-sized chunks, we feel that over 12 months we can really have an impact. Anyone who's done a program with us will know that we do this on our events as well, and we drop these nuggets of gold to make sure everyone understands the science. But for those that are still learning, this is why we've put this together. So, for us, it's an exciting thing to know that, we can share as much about what we're passionate about with people that are also like-minded and wanting to improve their team. So that's our purpose, and that's what is driving us around 12 months of content around the webinars as well. Now, before I get into today's information around the dose effect and the neurochemicals, I did want to share something that's quite exciting for us and exciting for the Australian region as well. So about 6 months ago, the National Institute for Play, we can see their logo, they actually contacted us. They're based in the US, and they have this mission around play being a necessity, and understanding that adult play deprivation is a real thing, and the impacts that can have on your health and your happiness, which is, underrated, and understanding of that is very limited. So the institute is led by Mia Sundstrom, who's the granddaughter of Dr. Stuart Brown. So if you've read Dr. Brown's book on play, he is the grandfather of understanding and learning about play and the effects that can have on a human. And he's, for the last 40, 50 years been the groundbreaking researcher on that. So 6 months ago, they contacted us. They love what we do as an organization, and they asked if we would like to be involved in their mission to really understand adult play deprivation and the necessity and the crisis that we all find ourselves in around not playing enough as adults. So, it's something like the World Health Organization, estimates 1 in 6 people have this play deprivation, and it's equivalent to about $300 billion worldwide. So, if we can play our part to, affect unhappiness and loneliness through play, we feel obliged to be able to do that. So it's very exciting to announce that we now have a partnership with the the National Institute for Play, an exclusive Australasian partner who are going to be able to deliver their science to our clients and to our market and help with that national crisis. It's something which, for us is crucial in our mission to 1 million people, because 1 million by 2030, I should say, because it's very personal, and we all know internally the effects of that. In terms of why this matters to our market and to our clients, again, we've been doing this, and Dwayne will be able to expand, for 30 plus years, in terms of team building and culture development. And a lot of the time, it was still spoken about around games and a break from work. And now with this access to this science and research, it actually brings the credibility that we've known all along, that play is actually a component of what we do to make our team stronger and more efficient. It's not a break from work. So with that, we're confident we can have better impact around how we design our own experiences, our own products. So the lasting impacts are there for everyone to benefit from, and the clarity as well. There's a lot of internal language and communication that we hear from the National Institute for Play that we're excited to share and have teams using internally themselves, and really change that paradigm. So that's why it really matters. And Dwayne, I know you've been involved in the discussions, mate, in terms of getting this for the last 6 to 9 months. I'm keen on any additional thoughts that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Shane. Look, I think for me, yeah, having been doing this now for 30 odd years, we've always known that positive team cultures create success. And I suppose 30 years of doing this and developing different programs and different ideas and doing an enormous amount of reading and research myself in different spaces. There was a big pat on the back that I think that we got 6 months ago when Mia reached out to us and wanted to connect with us to bring Dr. Brown's research into the Australasian region again. Unfortunately, obviously, as he's getting older, when he did do his research 50 to 60 odd years ago, he was quite well known, and things have changed significantly since then. So to be actually approached and asked to be able to do this and help spread that message. But I think a bigger part of this is, as I said, we know that positive team cultures create success. We've known this for a long time. We know that the biggest organisations on the planet, Google, Southwest Airlines, Virgin, they all practice this. But to be able to put some credible science behind this is what it is creating, and these are the what we're about to go through in today's Play Lab. These are the things that are happening to our team in those particular environments, which is why it is so crucial and necessary to be doing on a regular basis. So, look, it's very exciting times for us, and having started to make my way through the enormous amount of research they've made us privy to, it is really exciting to know that we've got some good stuff that we can share with our community.
100%, 100%. It's exciting all round. So let's move to, I guess, the starting point on this research, and something that is known as the dose effect. I will, I guess, preface by saying there's a fantastic book out there called The Dose Effect by an author named TJ Power, which goes into the personal side of these neurochemicals and how they can benefit. So if you do like your reading, that's something I do recommend as well. But in terms of an overview or a snapshot, really there's four neurochemicals, four neurotransmitters we're talking about here today. And this is where dose comes from. The first one being dopamine, which is known as the drive chemical, which I'm going to go into these in a bit more detail in a second. The second being oxytocin, around the trust and the trust chemical. Serotonin being the stability central, and the recovery chemical of the endorphins, which a lot of people will be familiar with when they have that high from working out or moving their body. So these four neurotransmitters play a really big part in underpinning play and the benefits that play can have on an organization or an individual as well. Before I break them down, I guess it's important to note, there's no doubt, and I'm doing you're the same, I'm sure, over years and years, you hear leaders talk about frameworks for leadership and behavioral change and standards in organizations. And I guess there's a lot of frameworks and agreements around behavior put in place. But a lot of the time, what is not known or not discussed is what underpins behavior in general. And a lot of the time, that's the way we feel as individuals. And this is why I guess this is so important, because the dose effect and those neurochemicals are brain chemistry, and that drives the way we feel and that drives our behavior. So, as a starting point to understand behavior, it becomes very, very important. And the second aspect of why it's important would be, how do you foster the right environment to bring them out? Um, how do leaders actually use the tools and the discussions that we have around dose, and go, how do I become more intentional to create this brain chemistry in my team? So hopefully, as a leader, that's important to you to understand. Hopefully, there's a way that you can take some of the information and utilize that as well. So if we move to dopamine, so dopamine is misunderstood in a way, as a pleasure chemical. So in reality, it's a chemical of more anticipation. It fires with when brain senses possibility. When not when we get the reward, but when we believe something is coming in anticipation, it literally pulls us forward into growth. So teams with strong dopamine systems, they don't rely on the pressure to perform, they rely on the progress, and they're inspired by the progress, and that releases dopamine in their systems, in their bodies. So when people see, movement, growth, or improvement as a possibility ahead, it becomes natural and it becomes quite regulated within the body. So play is built on knowing exactly what's going to happen, or not knowing what is going to happen next, I should say. So that uncertainty of play and the aspect of play keeps the dopamine flowing in the brain. So it stays curious and alert, and willingness to invest effort to continually move towards an outcome. So that's why it's a really powerful learning and motivation tool, because it's the anticipation of what's next. So a team, rich in dopamine will lean forward into challenge, experiment more, and learn faster. So it's an important thing to do, and you can see the notes there on the system around how it works and how teams can use it. But with the regulation, the dopamine regulation in the orange there, I think it's important to recognize the uncertainty of play activates the curiosity, which leads to innovation and creative, problem solving. The explanation around the brain being engaged helps as well, and that discovery helps progress the signals. So it's a powerful thing, dopamine, and I guess the challenge in the world that we live in today is easy dopamine via touchscreens and social media. So putting play into place where teams need to put effort into achieving things actually has a really positive impact on regulating that dopamine within a team. And as you can see there, higher engagement and energy, faster skill development. That's what all organizations are after with their people. So that's a little bit on the drive chemical dopamine. If we move to oxytocin, oxytocin, it's not just a feel-good chemical, it's the brain's safety signal for social connection and trust. So when oxytocin is present in the nervous system, it relaxes around other people. The guards come down, you become more human, more connected. So collaboration becomes more possible when oxytocin is high within a person. When oxytocin is high, there's no doubt people speak more openly. They can admit to their mistakes sooner. They can, get support from each other naturally. When it's low, people will obviously in your team hold back, protect their image a little bit more, and be a little bit more cautious, or play it safe. So trust, it can't be forced, but when oxytocin is high, it happens natural, and play in general creates those moments where people share experiences with each other beyond the job title. So they break down the site, or break down the levels of management in a way that everyone is on a level playing field, having fun and playing. And those moments can trigger and strengthen the relationship bonds that are needed to build trust within a team. So teams, yeah, really rich in oxytocin will not only feel better, but they'll work better together. The information will flow up and down management more freely. Conflicts will be resolved sooner and quicker, and people will stay committed to the mission even when challenges arise, because that trust chemical is there in a way. So that's oxytocin. And I guess, Dwayne, after your input here on someone who's done this a long time around oxytocin and the need for trust within a team in particular, and
Yeah,
any thoughts on you've had working with thousands and thousands of teams?
yeah. Look, I think it goes without saying that we know that trust is in high performing teams. It's one of the key attributes of a high performing team is when they trust each other. And I suppose what we're looking at is, and what we're able to actually do now is we're able to connect that if we can go into a play environment and we can teach our teams because they're getting a greater level of, say, oxytocin release, we can teach them what that feeling is. Then we can go back and explore what does that look like in our work environment. And this has been, we've probably been talking about for the last 30 years, how do we just get teams to trust each other? And every HR department is going, we need everybody in our team to trust each other more. What we need to understand is how do we get people into a trusting state? And that is the key to, I suppose, what you're talking about here, Shane, is that being able to get people in a state where they're getting a higher release of oxytocin is going to help them get into a trusting state. When we understand how we can do that in a play environment, we can more naturally understand how we can do that in the work environment. And I think that's key.
Yeah, so underpinning the behaviors with the chemicals that release. Absolutely.
That's right.
Sure. So if we move towards the serotonin side of things, so this is the brain's regulation system in a way. Like it doesn't create this spike of feeling. It's like this baseline of mood and stability. So when serotonin is healthy, people they stay calm under pressure. They think more clearly and they're able to recover faster from emotional setbacks. When it's low, the pressure feels overwhelming. And with overwhelm becomes, lack of clarity of thought, lack of action, and those type of behaviors as well. So serotonin is a real stability chemical. So when it rises, as I mentioned, people feel more secure in their environment. So teams will have, more clear expectations, stable routines. Consistent leadership can create, the steadiness in people. So good play has, I guess, rules and boundaries and shared purpose. That's a good aspect of when play is happening. But within that, people they can explore without penalty. And we mean that, in terms of there's no real fallback or negative consequences by, having this thought process that may be incorrect because it's just play and it's unbound. And I guess when you have that environment, good play can release a lot of serotonin because of the stability of exploration that way. So it creates this greater resilience and brain resilience. It doesn't mean that things are more exciting. It just means you're more reliable as a team. Reliability and everyone in your team is a crucial aspect of a high performing team and high performing culture. So people are they're gonna show up, communicate more clearly, be more reliable, handle challenge without falling apart and shutting down. And that's an important aspect of knowing how serotonin works. And in terms of the way play actually helps the serotonin regulation, as I mentioned, the safe structure within a play environment helps people explore the possibilities. Naturally, a play environment is a non-judgmental environment, so you're not judging because you're outside of whatever business outcomes are there. But I like the idea of having permission to experiment and to fail and to grow and to just throw ideas out there. And when you find when serotonin levels are low within someone, they're just going to keep to themselves a little bit more because they won't have that stability and they'll feel under pressure rather than wanting to be, part of an unpsychological safe team. So again, we all want clearer thinking from teams. We all want that consistency in performance. So understanding serotonin and the stability is an easy way to progress towards, a team which is quite stable in that way. And the final piece of the dough in terms of the understanding becomes the endorphins. So the internally produced opioids, so they give us that natural high. So their job isn't to motivate or connect people in any way. It's more helping the body cope with strain. When endorphins are released, muscles loosen, breathing deepens, and the nervous system shifts to, from fight or flight to more of relaxation. So they don't create excitement. What they do is regulate stress, and the relief is essential for sustained performance because we all can't operate in a high stress environment all the time. Otherwise, we burn out. So every team that carries too much tension with deadlines and expectations will burn out unless they have a way of releasing these natural endorphins, which play actually does. So things like shared experiences, laughing together, moving together, having breakout microplay activities, all allow teams to reduce, to experience an endorphin high, which allows them to recover and naturally reset. So, as I mentioned, the play naturally contains that. Movement, laughter, the emotional release is what importantly gives people that psychological permission to drop their guard, relax, and reset. So it could be a short playful moment. It could be changing the room's energy. I know we do vital acts around fastest finger and thumb wars and all these things, which can happen in, a split second, in 10 seconds. And it just has this natural calming effect on a team because of the shared laughter. So teams that perform well, care more and are high performing because they're not burning out.
And
Um,
can I, if
yeah,
you don't mind there,
yeah,
Shane, I think one of the things for people, I mean, when we talk about endorphins, anybody who exercises understands the feeling of endorphins. And one of the things that I suppose we're talking about is a well-structured team event is going to take people through all of these. And the easy question and one that probably um, I've had over many years is, look, the weather's not that great, and we've got to do an indoor program, or in probably your case in WA, the weather's too good and it's too damn hot, and we've got to go indoors. So can we still get the same release of these, and in particular, can we get the same release of endorphins? And again, I think it really comes down to making sure that you're talking with your event planner and making sure that the management of that event includes some rotations of activities around rooms, getting people up and about, in a Lego program and contributing together to actually create a masterpiece. And those sorts of things are the things that are they're not as active as going out and doing an amazing race, but they're still creating enough activity to have good releases of endorphins and the other chemicals. So I just think that's it is an important part of when putting a play event together, making sure that it is ticking all of those boxes.
yeah. And I think to add on to that, I think it becomes crucial that programs are bespoke to the environments that we find our clients in that way as well, because an off-the-shelf activity could just not have the same thought around energy in the room and moving people around and getting people out of the chairs. Otherwise, it can just miss the mark. So I think it's a
Yeah.
good point that in being intentional and understanding activities and how they are implemented to move people through this experience is, crucial to release the endorphins as we go. Beautifully done. So look, that's the dose there, right? If we look at a snapshot, a recap, and all you take away is a base level understanding, you're looking at dopamine being obviously the neurotransmitter that drives motivation, like I said, reward, goal-oriented behavior, something that spikes when we anticipate something meaningful. So look at it like that. The oxytocin is the bonding hormone that strengthens the trust, as Dwayne mentioned. Probably the most important thing in developing that positive culture is having trust in each other and in the team. How do you strengthen trust, empathy, and connection? We have serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer, the neurotransmitter that's linked to the belonging, the well-being, the stability aspect. It regulates everything that we do within our body, helps us deal with pressure and not be overwhelmed in a way. And then the endorphin is those natural painkillers or the mood elevators, which allows us to laugh, enjoy, reset, and go through natural spikes of energy and recovery as a goal. Now to the point where this is all good to know. What are some practical ways that this shows up? We're fully aware within what we do that not it's not always accessible to stop your team in what they're doing just to have an offsite, play activity. That's part of a positive culture, but we're here to try and find ways to help you release the dose effect within your team in an everyday format. So I've got some ideas on where you can start. So with the dopamine, and again, a lot of this stuff is not rocket science. It's something which is just mindfulness around how it can be defined. So within the dopamine, Celebrate small wins. So recognize accomplishments immediately. Don't just wait for the final outcomes to celebrate, because the small wins or the celebration will help drive the dopamine and anticipation on the next milestone, on the next accomplishment as well. Create anticipation. So, teasing upcoming projects or challenges that the team maybe have on the horizon is something which can create anticipation and a dopamine release as well. The other thing which I would do is encourage exploration with teams. So give team members space to try new approaches and learn from the results, because you never know what's going to happen. And I think it's Google, Dwayne, that's famous for allowing their teams 20% of their time to do this. And a lot of their innovation actually comes from the dopamine of anticipation on passion projects. Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, another one a little closer to home is the fish philosophy, obviously one of the programs that we deliver. And way back when they became sort of world famous back in the late 90s, one of the things was that one of the young fishmongers said to Johnny Yogi Hammer, who's the manager, he said, "Hey, why don't we throw the fish over the counter to the guys behind rather than walk around and back? And we'll save so much more time." And the fact that the permission was given to go through that exploration, and it is now absolutely one of the things that has created them to be world famous. So yeah, it definitely some of the biggest organisations. That's what they're doing, and that's what they're allowing and encouraging.
For sure. So oxytocin, starting meeting shared wins. Again, not a new concept, but something under pressure we probably forget about, that we all want to connect over something we've all contributed towards. So, start a meeting with a shared win, builds those relationships and strengthens the connection. Really good. If you're a leader, modeling vulnerability, sharing lessons and what's learned can also trigger that oxytocin release within a team. And my bonus one there would actually be finding ways to have peer-to-peer support. So creating opportunities where people can mentor and coach and learn from each other, not just on, not within their own business unit, but within their own life and different experiences that they might go through, is a real game changer in terms of just modeling vulnerability, but learning and mentoring each other as well, rather than needing to wait for a leader to do it. Have everyone do it with each other and find a peer that is like-minded. Serotonin ideas. Um, Again, clarity, roles, responsibilities, just knowing what's expected of them really helps. Establishing routines and rituals. I think it's something like 40 to 50% of what we do on an everyday basis is just a routine or a ritual that's naturally ingrained into our body. So doing the same thing with team rituals, whether that's starting a meeting, starting the work day, actually just helps create a base level of serotonin that everyone knows what's predictable and reliable, rather than starting your day with chaos. Having little routines and rituals are really beneficial. A bonus there, probably providing fair feedback as well. Just making sure you think about how you structure your language to be fair with your feedback, positives as well as challenges. Really allows everyone to, have this shared serotonin level rather than feeling under the pump or under pressure a lot. And then the final one, the endorphins. Incorporate movement, as I mentioned, short walks, walking meetings, stretching breaks. I know it's quite common for teams to have, walking lunch breaks, yoga sessions, all these things that come into just releasing stress, which is an important part. So if you're finding yourself not having those breaks, it's a really important way to induce the endorphin rush. And create stress-free rituals as well. So again, on top of the movement, just mindful breathing really goes a long way, and being mindful in how our bodies work. So there's some ideas on practical ways you can look at the dose effect and go, right, we actually don't need to do too much more than what we're already doing. Maybe just change the structure just slightly, and not actually need too much more time. We can do from today, introducing aspects that we can look at. If you are after a way to look at this from a framework point of view, what we teach and what we advocate for is the periodic play model. So it's a way that You can use different aspects of play in different parts of your business unit to release the dose chemicals. So at the top is the play personality. So if you've never heard me talk about play personalities, the quick cliff notes is we all play different and we're all unique. I'm what's known as an explorer. So I like to explore new possibilities and growth, but we're all unique. And some people like to move their body. Some people like to tell stories more. Some people are problem solvers, collectors. So doing the play personality test, which you can do on our website, and this information comes directly from the National Institute for Play, which has been studied by Dr. Brown, to understand how we are all unique is a good way to start a shared connection. Playful meetings, as we've already touched upon, finding ways that in our meetings we can have a more playful approach. The micro play refers to aspects of within your office structure. Just breaking the day up with a fun energizer or something playful rather than needing to stop for long periods of time to have an off-site meeting or half a day off. It's just a 5-minute energizer, like I mentioned earlier. It could be a thumb war, it could be a small game of waste paper basketball if you've got some spare paper floating about, anything like that, which actually just introduces a micro play or a playfulness mindset is beneficial. The play spaces is all about the shared spaces, the common rooms, the lunch rooms, and making them more playful and being thoughtful of how you can do that, celebrating success, rewarding individuals that way. And then the final one is obviously the play challenges, the area we really specialize in, doing a team event, having a professional go through and actually structure that in a way that elicits the right outcomes for lasting impact. Or it could be a simple a footy tipping or a fantasy league of some sort as well, which all comes under that play challenge. So that could be an easy way for you as an organization or as a leader to look at play and how that can be introduced as well. To help with that, if you haven't already, we do have this gift pack that we give, which is a collection of all the tools that we have. The play personality quiz is in there. You can find our connection debt. There's self-facilitated micro activities, so you can just scan the QR code, you go straight to the link to download all of those free with no cost. And there's an ebook in there as well. So some ideas on how we can help you self-facilitate play within your organization. I think we'll send around the link to that after the webinar as well in an email. So if you haven't downloaded that, that's also totally fine. Finally, looking what's ahead, because I don't want to overcomplicate the information on each month. Next month, we're going to go into breaking the productivity myth. We are fully aware with all the organizations that we work with all over Australia and New Zealand, there is still this belief with a lot of people that play is that distraction and it's not actual work. So we want to provide some simple tools and language that can help leaders really get to the nuts and bolts of play is not that distraction. It's actually serious business, and it's what's needed to help teams thrive in what this new environment finds ourselves in within work. So how to reintroduce play into the meetings, the projects, and the team rhythms is going to be the topic for February. Registrations are open. Again, if you do have your phone, you can pull out the phone and you can go straight to the QR code there to the registration. The February one's going to be on the 25th of February at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and you can see all the other time zones there. I will add that that's actually my birthday, so it's my birthday present to myself to be able to discuss play with a larger group, which is awesome. So I'm looking forward to that one, and I know Dwayne, you'll probably be on that one as well, chiming in with all your nuggets of gold, mate.
Absolutely.
Something to sign up to share around with your teams and really help those that are still in that, I guess, that limited mindset around what play does to expand into the possibilities to give yourself permission from there. And then looking ahead at March, something I'm already looking forward to. We've actually organised with Mia, as I mentioned, the CEO of the National Institute for Play, to join us from the US online. We're going to be doing an interview with her where she's going to be able to share some further insights into her grandfather's groundbreaking work, what they're doing in the cutting edge side of play, the projects and the research that's going on worldwide with all the key people around that. So looking forward to having Mia on. If you've ever heard Mia talk, it's fantastic. Her understanding and the depth of understanding of play is unrivaled. So it's an exciting thing to share with our networks. and something that we're looking forward to in March as well. Finally, in the last couple of minutes that we have, wasn't sure if there was any questions come through. I haven't looked at the chat, Dwayne, but I know there was a couple of thoughts sent through from people who couldn't make it that they wanted.
Yeah, there was. So, look, if anybody has a question that they want to put in the chat, feel free to jump in now. But look, part of the registration process was that we had everybody answer the biggest barrier to connection or collaboration within your team right now, and something there was an interesting suppose the theme that came through was the challenge that everybody is going through in this new hybrid world that we find ourselves in post-COVID. And it keeps um, showing its head in many different ways. This topic and this idea, and I suppose I just wanted to discuss, Shane, a little bit with you about that and how does play fit that new environment where people are now only in the office maybe 3 days a week, and they're not necessarily the same days. It might be rotating shifts and so forth. So, some of the words people have used here is geographical spread and rotating rosters. So, interested to hear some of your thoughts and discussing that a little bit.
Yeah, look, from my point of view, it starts with intentional design. Okay, I think for so many years, everyone was lucky that you were forced to be around each other for long periods of time on a day-to-day basis. So naturally, culture would evolve, especially if you had the right, behaviors. Now it's a new world. So, the reason why the periodic play, table or framework came about and the way it is around being more intentional to one, understand what play is for each individual in your team as a starting point. Because if you want to be intentional around designing a more playful approach, you want to ensure that you have the right tools for the right people because we are all unique. So being intentional and understanding each other. And that could be not so much just taking the quiz. It could be conversations around what people do in their free time, what motivates them. You and I talk about all the time around fishing, Dwayne, how people think it's play and they love it. Personally, I'd say that it's not for me.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so not
yeah,
I guess not, having preconceived ideas of what play is, having discussions as a starting point, and then being intentional to go, right, when are we actually are coming together? Because I'm sure even in remote work, there's periods of time when teams do actually spend some time. It could be online, it could be together, cross paths. How do we then, you know, foster
yeah.
the connection that way? That would be my starting point. Obviously, it's going to be different for every organization because it's hard to answer what people do, but
Yeah.
it comes down to intentional design for me.
No, look, I agree, and I think that the important thing is that we all recognise that those water cooler and coffee machine moments aren't happening anymore, and they were actually important to our teams getting into play states um, through just being able to have conversations and chat and understand what you did on the weekend and take them through this ability to learn to trust and connect with others within the team. And now that's not happening. We do need to create some more intentional focus on it. And it may be, and the thing is that it is more of a challenge now. It's not doesn't mean it's not possible. It's just more of a challenge. It needs to be sat down and thought about. And I know some of the ideas that, over the last 18 months in our own self-exploration of this, the ideas of online sales. So let's all jump on, for 1 hour, once or twice a week, and let's go through. And if you've got any questions, we're all online doing our own work, but sharing something a conversation we may have had and been able to sit there with 3 or 4 people just for an hour, do your own work, and in the background you've got those people there to bounce off and to throw the ideas around, which once upon a time might have happened when we were sitting in the same workspace. So I think intentional design is a really good term for it, and then exploring what does that look like for your team.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
So just start those conversations would be my advice and see where it
yeah,
leads. Sure.
yeah,
So look, I guess from an additional question point of view, we're always open to have these discussions and putting videos together for people or answering questions via email. So when we do, just send through the links for the upcoming webinars. If there are any questions that pop up via anyone on this call or anyone watching in future or anyone within their teams, highly encourage you to send those through. We're always happy to have a play conversation, whether that's to myself, Dwayne, or I think there is an email here that I've put together with the info at corporatechallenge.com.au, which goes to our team, and we can have whoever's our local play specialist touch base as well, depending on what location you are across Australia and New Zealand. So, look, that's it for now for January. Again, it's an interesting time of year, January, with a lot of moving parts and people away. So thanks for those that are on the call joining us. I know there's going to be a lot of people watch with interest and send through some ideas post webinar. So please do get started in terms of just registering for February, and then soon after we'll have that link for Mia in the March call as well. Dwayne, was any final thoughts from you, mate, before we close off for the day?
No, look, I just again would like to just say thanks to those. I uh, reflect your thoughts there that it is a busy time in January with people here, there, and everywhere. So thanks for those that did make the time. Look forward to seeing you all moving forward, and really do encourage people to just take some more interest and let's help explore and discover this uh, what playing is really all about.
Absolutely.